Thank you, colleagues, and thanks. Good morning, and it's a very pleasure to be here and to talk about the UNESCO work and to talk about how we can really get linked to what we are discussing here. And thanks for the organizer to invite us to be here, give the opportunity to talk with you. And I will, basically try to, jointly give our view of the UNESCO Open Science Recommendation, and then I will briefly talk about our two initiatives within UNESCO, and for the practice of the open science. And later, I will also to give you some very short introduction about the International Decade of Sciences for the Sustainable Development. So here just go through very quickly about why open science. But I will not have no much time, but I will leave this PPT with all the participants later through our organizers. So I will not go too much, to talk about this one. But just to talk about the UNESCO recommendation on open science. So what is the recommendation? UNESCO recommendation, in fact, is the legal instrument and is set up with some principles and norms about the issue that related to what we are talking, and like the open science. And so all the member states of UNESCO, they will adopted these norms, the principles in context, their national regulations, laws, but then, to be compliant, I can't say maybe compliance, but anyway, they have responsibility to get this kind of recommendation implemented. And for the open science, we in the 2021, 194 countries adopted this open science. So the open science, in fact, as stated here, is the first international normative instrument about open science, on the open science. They have the really internationally agreed definition about open science. And they set the core values and the principles, how open science, and also address to multi-actors and stakeholders of the open science. It's not only to the government. And also it's highlight some actions on the different levels in the different stage and for the science process. And is also, set up the comprehensive and open science monitoring framework. So the definition of the open science, and is really to scientific knowledge openly available, accessible, and reusable for everyone, and increase scientific collaborations and share of information for the benefit of science and societies, and also open the process of the scientific knowledge creation, evaluation, and communication to the social actors beyond the conventional the scientific communities. If you can see the picture here, and we say, that we have the 4 pillars for the open science. This one is the open science knowledge. So we have, the open scientific publications. Also, this is the open data. I think that's we are feeding here. And also here is the open science infrastructure. Today when we visit some of the infrastructure, I also understand in Japan, like the MRI, they are really open to share with all others. This is what we are promoting and the open science. Here is the open engagement of the really society actors, like for the citizen, for the citizens to how they can get engaged of the science creation, the process. And here is the open dialogue with other knowledge system, like the traditional knowledge or the indigenous knowledge, like in the Latin America and in Africa, you talk about these areas quite a lot also. So this is the 4 pillars of the open science. And here, as I mentioned, this is values, and this is the principles that we need to follow when everyone want to, conduct or practice open science. And of course, we fully understand, and all the countries and all the regions, and even all the different fields, they will have their I mean, the specific situation, they need to adopt it to that. We fully understand that one. So that's why you see, instead, you see to give the, I mean, the very detailed definition and how that can be conducted. I mean, all the member states agree. We set up some values, some of the principles. I will not really go much detail about this kind of the discussions. So the key areas of action, and hopefully you see that will also be part of that one. First is really raise awareness, raise understanding about open science. Because open science really usually change the culture and how science will be conducted, how science will be interacted with societies, how science will be evaluated and monitored. So this really is the change of the paradigm of the science itself. How the science, I mean, can really you see the helping the decision-making process, for example, as part of that. How science can be really conducted the transdisciplinary rather than you see it by solos. And next one is really we try to advocate for the government. They need to develop their own open science policy to create, you see, the ecosystem at the country level. Of course, you see at the regional and global level slowly, and also investment in the infrastructure. And to make, you see, the open science feasible and easily to be conducted or practiced at the different levels. So I suppose you see here, that's one of the purpose for us to have this meeting. And we also need to have the training and the capacity building to enable researchers and other stakeholders to really participate of the open science. And if you had talked with any of the researchers and scientists who really understand the open science, they all told me that you see the most important right now is really to educate the young generation of the researchers. And they need to receive the change their mindset. And that you see right now is a big challenge, I think, because you see if you talk to the young people, some of them immediately thought how the science can be opened, how my research data can be really, openly accessed by any other peoples. Such kind of the questions need to be addressed. And also they need to understand, they need to have the capacity to see what the means open science and how they can get engaged to the process. And I mentioned here already, you see that we need to have the developing of the culture of the open science. But this culture of open science is not only, you see, for the science community, it's also the policy, the general public. So all the different partners need to get involved. And we promote, you see, the innovative approach and how the open science is a different stage of the scientific process, including, you see, the fund allocation, and the science conduct processing, science evaluation, and the rewarding system. So all this one need to be really get into consideration, and of course, to promote international and multi-stakeholders cooperation. So this is identified by all the member states in the 2021, the 7, priority areas. And the key priority areas, of course, you see that's action, but we finally, the further you see really you see creating incentives and the capacity buildings and the infrastructure and monitoring and funding is also very, very important, and the policy, of course. And as this is already repeated. So it's, in fact, you see what happening after this. So, and we can see really, you see the collaboration research platform, open repositories, and open science software around the world is really increasing all the platforms. But you see still you see the uneven happened, and almost all happens really in the West Europe and North America. And also you see along with the increased number of the open science infrastructure, how we can really keep them, you see, they can use exchange, they can use sustainable, that's the issue we need to really consider. Because there are too many, the new data set, data platform, you see the repositories, and how we can really make them, you see, they can be exchanged the data in the future. That's one of the challenges. I think that's also bring us to be here, because if you only have the regional or the country level, how about the global level? How about using the future to have the exchange the data with others field? I think I already heard some of the needs about this one. And it's a policy response, and we can see that you see the really lot of researchers, institute and the university, and also at the government level, they already you see the put like open science is mandatory and is part of their policy. And also the funders, the science funders here, we mentioned about that one. And so also at the country level, at least 11 countries, they already you see set up their open science policy. And also they try to integrate the open science concept into their national, the science technology innovation systems. So that's really you see the good part of this one. And we also understand that open science right now is to really make you see holistic, and rather than you see the sector by sector or something like that. But we still have the long way to go. And if you see like you see, for example, in this region, and I think all the government is taking action, they do some research. But if you really talk about, you see the very concrete policy measure to put in place, and we still have some way to go. And here is just to let you know that you see we have the open science outlook that we released last December, and to just give our way of what's happening. And this is the first time we open this one. We really welcome all the colleagues. You give the good example. We can include that in the future. And also the policy and the policy instrument we are putting, you see, we call the Go Span. And all this one, you can find that in our website. And we also developed, in fact, some of the guiding tools and fact sheet checklist. All these kind of things are available in our website. And we welcome you to. And today, you see, I also bring you see the one small brochure. Like this is the open science itself. This is the text, and you can you see the access that in our website. I also share that with our organizers, and they will also share that maybe later with all of you about this one. Yeah. And this one is one example. This is another, you see, our another division. They develop, you see, they call the Intergovernmental Hydrological Programs World Information Network System. And they basically, you see, try to share the information about the world management and about, you see, what currently or the future, what happening from scientific perspectives. And also, you see, they also try to facilitate the data exchange and also to educate the different stakeholders. And here is the mechanism, how they can make contribution, how the users can access this kind of the platform. I will not go any detail in any case. But all this one, you can also access that in our website here. And so I would like to introduce another one which we just initiated, you see, this year. We call, you see, the remote access to the scientific lab equipment initiative at UNESCO. So this initiative really want to, as part of the open infrastructure, try to helping the developing countries, global south scientists to access really, you see, the advanced, you see, the lab equipment in the global north, or you see within the developing countries. Especially you see for the African countries. So this is the purpose of this one, and because we really understand that without for the scientists in the developing countries to access the equipment, the infrastructure, and they will not be able to conduct their research. That's why you see they will not be able, you see, to stay in the country, in their own country, to continue their career. And of course, you see if we provide this infrastructure, is will really, you see, enhance the local capacity and enhance the scientific advance in the future. So we already, you see, in fact, you see, they have some initial activities, and thanks to France, and we have the good collaboration. And currently, you see, we already have 11 countries. Here, you see, we show the 11 countries already get benefited from this one. And we have the Cameroon, Congo, and Cote d'Ivoire, they receive the remote access, to the facilities based in France, basically right now. And of course, you see this is a model we call that, you see, we first have the hand-on training, and in the lab of the who provide the facility. Then you see apart from the focal point training, and then you see they will training within the country. So after that, you see they can send their samples, for the providers of the infrastructure for the data analysis. And later you see they will use this one for their capacity building for the student, and also you see for the research itself. This is really, you see, the very simple model. And we also call, you see, for the remote access and to really, you see, join us. But right now, you see, of course, we really focused on this area. But we are really trying to extend it to all the different fields in the future. But this one is already closed, I think so, yeah. And so we also, you see, do from this the education 55, you see the research schedule. You can see this is really in the early initiative. That's why you see I try to introduce here and through other form, to attract, you see, the more contributors and who can really give their access for the scientists from the global south and to their facilities in the future. So right now, that's a short plan. You see, right now we try. You see, we will try to extend it to all the different areas, and we will, you see, matching the needs and call, you see, for the currently, you see, more from the Africa scientists, and to see who will use, like you see, the microscopy, and who really use computational analysis. The math and for the computational time, for example. And then you see that we met them together, and we then you see put them together, and we also launch our remote access, you see the web page. This one is already launched. And so you can access, you can go there, and if you want to to be the contributor, you can do that. If you want to be the beneficiary, you can also do like that. So our job, you see, this is all the countries, in fact, who really offer, they want to give you, see, all the different assistance and in the different areas. We hopefully, you see, we will receive more. And so currently, you see, right now, we are also working with our global, you see, the bioimaging, and try to also have the remote access to the microscopy, and we're in the process right now. And we hope you see soon we will put that in place also. And what we are doing right now, really, you see, is to create the two database, and to also matching the two database, like we're matching together. I hope this one is at this stage right now what we are doing, but in the future, that is not the purpose for us to do the matching. We will leave that to the scientist, the community itself, because in the future, if you imagine how many, and the UNESCO, we have a very small office, we will not be able to match it. So in the future, I hope it's like you see the scientific culture, and they will match themselves. We just maybe provide the platform and the promotion, these kind of activities. We will not be even do the matching, hopefully, in the future. And of course, we have still a lot of the challenge about, you see, the security and the intellectual properties issue, and also other challenges like the funding. And we really look forward for the contributors and the donors and to help us. Also, you see, like here, you see, we say for how to organize the travel. And because you see all the contributors, maybe they will not be able to provide the funding for the travel. And also, you see, for the maintenance of the operational cost, and also for the human resource, and also how to, even you see for the developing country to send their samples, to the European countries is also costly. For them, you see, it's also a big burden. So we also need to have some funding, you see, to support, to cover this kind of the cost. Yeah. And as I mentioned, you see here, I would like to really give the one discussion about, you see, the International Decade of Science for the Sustainable Development. And so here you see we provide the brochure about this one. And this the new initiative was adopted and also approved, in fact, by the UN General Assembly in last August in New York. So basically, all your member states, I think all the countries who represent here, the government already agreed to this initiative. So that's jointly approved by. So this really initiative really want to force and the science to empower the SDGs. As you know, you see everybody agree that out of you see more than half of SDG target is out of track right now. So we will not be able to meet the SDG as we promised. I mean, 5 or 10 years back. So that's a big issue. That's a big challenge because this is all the government had. I mean, agreed the SDG that we need to achieve by 2030. But right now, more than half will not be able to achieve. So that's why you see, I think you see the head and the member states really recognize and whether we can give the last chance and try to boost you see SDG through the science and technology. That's why this is came here. And if you notice that in December, in September this year, and the UN, you see the summit for the future also adopted the pact for the future. In that document by the head of all the countries, they have one chapter about you see the science, technology, innovation, and digital cooperation. They really emphasize about STI, the science, how science can really help in the process. So I think this one is really in line with that kind of the development. Because, I mean, at least from my understanding, the science is already, I mean, it's only talked within the science community. We all believe that science will change our life. Of course, good or bad. And if you don't use properly, maybe also create some problem. But really, you see, science have the power to change, I mean, our thinking, our behavior, our life, our production process. I think all the science community will agree. But that's a kind of a simple understanding is not really read to the policymakers, to the general public. And we can hear you see a lot of talk about all the different priority, but I think you see at the political level, and how many really politicians in your country talk about you see science is so important. And at the global you see forum, you see do you heard about you see a lot of the science summit? We heard about the financial summit. We heard about the security summit. I mean, we heard about the security summit, but you never maybe heard about this summit about science and technology. But maybe right now is a time for us to work together through our science decade. We can use this formula to very big voice and to tell the politician, to tell the public that the science and technology can really maybe give the chance for us to work together. So from that perspective, you see the UNESCO, we really you see to see, I mean, the vision is that you see the science and the science culture required for the sustainable world developed and accessible to all. So if you think about you see the science and is really you see the part of the human right also. On the Article 27, the human rights, and they say you see that everybody they need to access science and also benefit from the science development. But if you imagine, you see how many really you see the countries already helped for all its citizens to really access science, to get benefit of science, that we still lag behind. That's why we say, you see, we need to really try to create some of the science culture. So how, I mean, as I mentioned already, you see how science will be conducted, how science interacted, how science will be integrated into policy making process, how science can really benefit all the people. So we still have the long way to go in that aspect. So that's why you see that we have the mission really, you see, to engage all the societal actors. It's not only science community and to further advance the science and really equally benefit all. So right now we need to have the idea, we need to have the maybe new concept, whether you agree or not, we can have the discussion. Science should not be only within our science community. Yeah, we need to really engage, you see, all the different partners. So that's why I mean in our you see the outcomes we have you see the 5 you see the outcomes, and one is really science literacy generally, and then secondly we want to create you see actionable knowledge, and then you see the basic science. And through the basic science, you see how we can really have the international cooperation. And we have the open science and to be more practiced. And also you see the within our science community, how we can really do much better work in the future. I think you see my time is running out. I don't think I have the time for the question and answers. I thank you so much for your attention.